Ooh, wow. Ah, everybody. Okay, so I just have to give a shout out because, firstly, I am here with one of my sisters from another mister, and we have been, in fact, it is now 7 years since you first came, and I was with Lucy, right? The
Oh my
first
God.
time?
I don't remember, but I think I remember what I was wearing.
What if I was... All right. So 7 years later, my queen is still here, and I am still here. Now, at that time, it was like the Breakfast Club with Lucy and Lukey or something like that. And now, welcome to the club with Lucas on RCE 106.9 FM, and I am here with the one and only the fabulous Lady Venus O'Hara joining me here on the side.
Thank you
My
so
one-man
much.
band clap. No, thank you so much for being here because Mama Sita and I have been trying to make this happen for a hot minute, but it's actually been because I started my show by myself during the pandemic, and then you came on a couple of years later, and it's been casi 4 años, wait, that we haven't
Wow.
been here together in the studio.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. And in the meantime, there have been books published, there has been podcasting that has commenced and continued, there have been all manner, there's just a veritable smorgasbord, that's my word of the day, of things that Lady V has been up to. And firstly, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well, but I just realized that I
to
was
me.
complaining about having too much to do, and I thought, wow, this was a dream of mine a few years ago. I have to get up and go to do radio on a Saturday. What are problems, you know?
Oh, the beautiful way that problems solve
Yeah.
themselves. Usually when you throw money at them, but that's another story. Now, I also want to give a mad shout out because Lady Tori Sparks, who we were just listening to, that's actually one of our first songs. But Tori Sparks, she's going to be on the show soon. She has a new album called Cabinet of Curiosities. It's actually 4 songs, each in 5 different genres that she's doing with an amazing amount of people that are going to be on here, including members of the Alabama Gospel Choir. There's just so many of our best Catalan producers and directors and musicians here as well. And she hasn't released anything new in 9 years. So I just had to throw on some Tori to move into another queen who's another redhead. And that is truly why I did that. So shout out Tori. She's also going to be having something at the Auditorium de Sarria soon. This is why we're going to have my sister from another mister on the show. But now my sister from another mister is here. And I want to talk about some of this other stuff because I wrote down all these different things for us to talk about because Lucas is a nerd. And one of the things that we just finished in the last hour, shout out to the Hotspot Travel Boys, was the necessity for spirituality in any facet of life. And one of the things that I loved, and I think we both love this person, is a man named Prince. He's a musician named Prince.
Yeah, I saw him actually live. Yeah.
Me too, and I'll tell
Yeah.
you my story about that one later, not here. And the fusion of spirituality and sexuality was a big thing for him.
I must confess that I didn't really understand much about him. I still don't understand that much about him, to be honest. So maybe I should explore. Because I went to see him just because someone I was seeing at the time was really into him, so I just kind of went along.
And there was
You know.
a reason why.
Okay.
Sexuality and spirituality. And that is something
Oh, yeah.
that you have been doing for years.
Yeah.
We've talked a little bit about it in the past. Can we talk about that right now? Because it involves something that I have been part of and should get back to studying, actually. But Kabbalah.
Yeah.
You really threw me off the last week with that. And that really blessed the ish out of me because originally Kabbalah was only to be studied by males who were over 42 years of age. And at 43 actually, I started restudying, and then some stuff happened that you know about, and then I stopped. And so, hearing that, what was it that drove you in this moment of life towards that?
Well, it found me. I interviewed a woman for my podcast who's called Dr. Rachel Glick, and she's got this amazing book called A Soulful Marriage. It's about leveraging conflict just for couples and kind of communication strategies. And at the end of our conversation, she told me she was also a Kabbalah teacher, and I said, "Oh, let's do an episode about that." And like many people, when I heard about Kabbalah, I thought Madonna, and maybe there's different connotations than what you have. And so anyway, I thought let's do an episode. So anyway, we scheduled an interview for May. And higher up, it's scheduled an interview for May. But then I actually I was going to be in New York at the time we were going to speak. So I said to her, let's reschedule. And then she put me in contact with the Kabbalah Center in New York. And I got to go to an event there or a session. And it was just really mind-blowing and eye-opening. And I bought a book when I was there as well called True Prosperity, and I kind of devoured it. I inhaled it, and then I just sparked this curiosity, and I started to read books and explore a little bit more. But now I've kind of like dipped out a little bit of Kabbalah, because I kind of tend to go in and learn what serves me. And one of my podcast guests said she was pan-spiritual, and I think I'm pan-spiritual as well. So I kind of like take different things of different different modalities, different and philosophies, and kind of just do my own thing. I think it's really important when you're spiritual to remain grounded and in the 3D. I think a lot of people start, when they first get into it, they start to reject
the 5D.
Yeah, all this 5D, they'll escape the matrix, but everything is oneness, and everything is spiritual, even things that don't seem it. You know?
Honestly, I say it's perceiving and feeling the 5D, but living the 3D realm is important, because if you can find peace in the nature and the 5D in the moment that you're out in Riva Sefreser and there's nobody, great. But when you can find that grounding in the middle of 3 million people, there you're really practicing that element of the living in the vortex or whatever. But that's just my mentality.
Oh, absolutely. I agree so much. I used to do yoga in Deer. Imagine yoga in a gym. I just thought that is so blasphemous almost, but it was so amazing because it was a Tuesday evening, and there were 3 rooms. So in the middle there was this yoga class, on the right there's capoeira, and on the left there was all these boom boom house music and gym, like all the machines and all the kind of gym boys and stuff. So we were in the middle, and everyone just zoned out and got in. It was just really incredible because the teacher had this way of guiding us, and it just really goes to show that it doesn't really matter what's happening outside. It's how you react to it, and that was a really apparent. It's very apparent to me in those classes that you can just do yoga anywhere. You don't. That's the challenge, really, to try and find peace whenever you can't control your environment. You can't always go to the country and like hug trees. You got to find peace when your neighbors are noisy at 4 a.m. and all that.
Well,
so that can be a challenge.
And it's like you said, finding with the chaos outside, but you're finding the peace inside, even if you're. I mean, to hear house music and grunts from one side,
yeah,
and capoeira from the other.
We were all like,
"Have you done capoeira?"
No.
Oh my god! I bet you could kick some ass.
I'm more into kind of Latin stuff. Like I'm into bachata, salsa. That's
for the dancing, love for the dancing. It's interesting, and it makes me happy because the Kabbalah Center in New York is where I used to go as well, and. We do think Madonna. I think Sandra Bernhard, because it was through her, and shout out Mitchie Kaplan, I love you, that I got into Kabbalah. But for me, it was understanding Kabbalah celebrates being curious. That's one of the things that and obviously for all sexes, back in the day it was only for men, but they celebrate being curious. And so that's why you are a curious person.
Yeah, I'm always learning, yeah.
Madonna says if we stop learning, we start dying.
Yeah.
And there's an element there where I wonder what would be next that you would like. Is there something that you've not tried or something that you've always fancy? I know that's not part of the questions maybe.
But I think it's interesting because I was so hungry for knowledge, especially during the pandemic. I read 30 books and I was just thinking, if this book can change my life, imagine the next. And I had to stop myself and think, is there something missing? Am I not accepting myself as I am? And I think there's a lot of also darkness in the spiritual quest or even personal development. So now this year, I'm kind of taking a step back and rereading some books and not thinking, I've got this book and I'm thinking the next one. Because I just think sometimes that can be a scarcity mindset, thinking you're not enough. So I've made that mistake sometimes where thinking, this book has the answer, or and I think now I'm just trying to dial back. But something that Kabbalah gave me a few things that other modalities don't. I was brought up Catholic, so that's very self-erasure, self-sacrifice, all of that. And Kabbalah's like, ask for more, And something I absolutely love about Kabbalah is the concept of certainty beyond logic. I mean, that is just amazing. So I just think if you have certainty beyond logic, everything looks terrible, but you have this knowing inside, this calm. I think that's super powerful.
Does it ever... I'm dealing with that right now. And someone that I pay attention to as a quasi-guide mentor talks about the delulu, the delulu, the delulu, the delusion, the lulu of that, of confidence beyond that. And again, I guess when you're practicing that, it really tends to the battle of the mind, faith into trust, fear. I mean, that over the fear and the doubt. What is something that inspires you to continue when you have that type of fear or doubt that might try to throw itself in?
I do something really cool, which I recommend to many people. Every night before I go to bed, I bought this really small agenda from a Chinese shop, just on New Year's Eve, and I write 3 wins of the day. Because every day there are wins. Even if I walked 10,000 steps, I went to the gym, or I landed a new client. So every night I do that, and there's always something to celebrate. And yes, I think we tend to kind of focus on, oh, I didn't do that, didn't do that. But if you focus on the 3 wins of the day, then you're kind of going to bed with a kind of confident mindset, or knowing that you've made progress. I think that's super important. So I do that a lot, and
doing that.
and then sometimes
Thank you,
I can look back and I think, oh yeah, this year's been really good so far. Because sometimes it's about just taking stock of the blessings, I think. But also I think it's not just about being grateful for what you have. It's like, I think someone I interviewed said, be grateful or but never satisfied, or something like that. You're grateful,
being content, but never satisfied.
Yes, like just ask for more. But also, it's not just about asking for more just for personal gain. It's about to receive and share. So that's the main thing, because Kabbalah means to receive. So, and I just think that's super interesting. And also another concept I found super interesting was the bread of shame. I just think that's so interesting.
Yes, we talked about that.
Yeah, and I think the bread of shame is like when you receive something without earning it. And I think there is that celebration of when you suffer somehow, or not suffer, but in the quest or the pursuit of something that you want, then when you get it, it just means so much more. Like if you start something tomorrow and you're good at it and you're making those sales already, or whatever it is, I think the satisfaction is less. So, and I think resistance helps you grow all the time. So it's having that certainty beyond logic that you're going to get beyond that point.
Wow, I feel like a lot of the things you said perhaps are part and parcel as to why we're having some of the interesting dichotomies energetically with men in the world right now. Because if you haven't had to deal with the bread of shame energy and the stuff that you put in the work, and a lot of times things have just been given to a certain sex. I mean, especially in this country until 1986. Remember, 40 years that we're in the European Union. And that takes away. Then, if you've never had to, then you don't build that gene.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's super important.
Exercise that. Let's throw on a quick song. It is a throwback, and I had to do it because the power of Christ compels. But it's by this new outfit. They're a mixed bag of DJs called DS Music, and it is a remake of Andy Gibbs' "I Just Want to Be Your Everything" from like 1976, like from before Venus and I were even in our mother's stomachs. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the 70s, but circa 2026, folks. Remember, you can find the jams live on rce.cat all over the world and 106.9 FM right here in the beautiful state of Catalonia in Spain. And we'll be right back in 3 or 4 minutes, kids, with Lady Venus O'Hara.
Yay.
Background music to make you happy. Ah. Okay, now let's talk about this beautiful book that is sitting in front of me, please,
Wow,
because
great
this is
product
something that you
placement.
taught me 2 years ago. We were at Roots and Rolls. So it might have been 3 years ago. It was right after the separation, and I was just learning I was learning my necessity of getting back out there after many years of not. And you taught me about saying certain things when I am making love to myself. And I have been starting that. And I did. And it's important. This is something I learned. It's important to be very specific with what you speak out, or to be specific with what you speak out when you are doing this. But please teach us more. I need to learn.
Well, this is a very witchy practice called the O method, or also called orgasmic manifestation or sex magic. This is the title of my latest book, Transform Your Life with Your Sexual Energy.
Transform your life with your sexual energy.
Because this is life force energy.
Yep.
This is so powerful, creative energy. And if you can make a human with this energy, imagine what else you can create with it. So that's what I've been doing since 2018. So it's 8 years I've been practicing this. And I discovered it at a moment of desperation. I was living in Barceloneta. I was freezing in a 6th floor apartment. Terrible insulation. Did you say insulation?
Yeah, insulation.
Insulation. And yes, I was cold and hungry all the time. I had no pillow. I had one of those old mattresses that I was just too afraid to take the cover off, just in case, or there'd be lots of stains that were not mine on it. And I had a really sore neck, and I had no sofa, but I had 300 sex toys at the time because I'm a sex toy reviewer. And at this time of desperation, I thought something has to change in my life. So I started to Google lots of self-help content. And that's when I came across Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is the book that changed my life. And there is a chapter in that book called The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. And it's really interesting because when I mention this to people who've read this book, because this is the best-selling book of success of all time, people say, I don't remember that chapter. But for me, it totally jumped out at me. And it's basically how to harness your sexual energy and focus it on, use it to focus on your goals. So instead of just thinking of pleasure and instant gratification, you're thinking, oh, I want a new house, I want a new car, I want a new job, something like that. So it's just that moment. But sex transmutation is not, there is no sex act in it. It's just basically energy. But so I wasn't happy with that because I'm a sex toy reviewer. So I thought, I'm not denying my own orgasm.
Hell
So
yeah.
I kept searching, and I came across a video called How to Manifest with Orgasm. I was like, this is what I want to do. So I started to practice this the day after discovering this practice, and the first thing I was thinking of was avocados and cashews because they're expensive. So I was just thinking there, just salivating and imagining those textures in my mouth because they're really expensive. €2 an avocado sometimes, or 3-4 euros a bag of cashews. Because I had no money, basically. And then the next day, I manifested money that I'd forgotten about. I was like, yes. I went to the supermarket and got my avocados. And then I made this amazing salad. And ever since then, I'm not really worried about money for food. It's just been, it's been really kind of really great.
Now a decade's gone by. And you're writing this. This is one of the other things that we've talked about. You've started the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast.
Yeah.
Now, also, you're not just the queen, darling. You're the vegan goddess.
Yeah.
And sexual wellness goddess. You also use to design for Satisfy. You review sex toys. There's something that's an element of the spiritual and the sexual that seem to just parlay itself into your life.
I like
Did
to
you
call
feel
it
this as a kid?
Well, kind of, but I refer to it now as holistic self-love. That's kind of like the umbrella term of everything I do. Because I'm a Gemini, I like to dabble with many things. But I do think there is a kind of thread through everything I do. But as a child, I was very artistic. So I was always drawing, and I was always interested in languages, and I was rebellious. So you put those things together, creative, rebellious, curious.
How did your parents deal with that?
I think, I don't know, maybe they weren't really in agreement with my subjects of drawing. I used to always draw nudes. Oh. Yeah, like female nudes all the time. And then I was like, just draw a landscape, draw some scenery. So when relatives come around and then you're showing them the artwork of the child, it's like, okay. So yeah, I was always into that.
What age were you at that point?
I did fine art until 18, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So it started young and went through all of childhood and adolescence.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was reading like one of the most incredible books I've read was Forever by Judy Blume. Have you read that book? Oh my God, it's such a brilliant book.
I love Judy Blume. She's
Yeah,
still with us.
I know.
that.
And that book is like real coming of age. I read it when I was 11. I was in primary school and everyone was passing it around. And
Was
that
it
book,
not? Hey, are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
that's a period one. This is
Okay.
about sex. It's about first sex. And it describes it in a way that when you're a child and you're curious, it describes it in a way that you will understand. And it answers those questions that you have. It's very graphic, very explicit.
Forever by Judy Blume.
Yeah, and it's about this girl called Catherine. I still remember it all. Catherine, who meets this guy called Michael, and it's so funny because when she feels his member in her hand for the first time, and she describes this throbbing piece of his body, he calls it Ralph. So every time I meet someone called Ralph or hear the name Ralph, I just think of Forever, and I think that's true for many people. So I just think that's super interesting. But this book was mind blowing, and it was being passed around my class at school, and everyone was reading it, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so interesting." Obviously, I was hiding it,
Yeah.
but it was just that was where we got our sex education. So I went
Was
to
it
a Catholic
available
school.
in the library at the school?
I don't know. Someone's had obviously very progressive parents and gave it to them, or maybe it was an older sibling was passed down. But everyone in the class read it, so I just waited my turn and just like, oh my God, this is incredible. And yeah, Judy Blume is just amazing. Yeah,
She's another goddess.
yeah.
Honestly, I'm now thinking, because we had the entire Judy Blume collection either at home or at my parochial school. Not that book.
Oh yeah, because there's a lot of books about adolescence, and there's even one about wet dreams and stuff. So it's really amazing how she gets into the adolescent's mind, the curious adolescent, and talks to them in a way that's not patronizing, but very kind of friendly and close and intimate. Yeah, so because in
Years
sex
ago
education,
now.
that's a lot. That's in the
70s,
70s that was
80s,
written.
yeah.
But it's really sad because sex education is, when I was at school, it was 1 hour. It was one class called Growing Up, and it was just focused on puberty, and then
It was called Growing Up.
yeah, so it's just about periods, about just adolescence in general, and then I went to a Catholic school, and I remember the religion
child.
teacher was like, when a man loves his wife so much, he places his penis in her vagina, and then the baby comes. So I used to think that when a family had 5 kids, they've done it 5 times. So there's no emphasis or no coverage of contraception or anything like that, or abortion or anything like preventative, or nothing about pleasure, nothing about the clitoris. We just learnt about, body parts and, even plant reproduction, animals, but no kind of pleasure, no clitoris. And so that was so I got my education from Judy Blume and from women's magazines. So that really inspired me to
Like
actually...
Miss?
Like something like in the UK, there was a magazine called More, and it made a lot of. It was very
Remember that
scandalous at the time, and they had to start putting it on the top shelf. And they had this segment in it called Position of the Fortnight, and they had difficulty ratings. I used to collect them all, and it was so good. So I was just like devouring all this information. I was super curious. And there's another magazine I was reading called Just 17 as well, which is a bit kind of pre-More.
Okay.
And then I was kind of like, yeah, I know my stuff now. I can start doing it.
Might it be too weird? Were you over a certain age when you finally took the leap into breaking the hymen?
No, it was a very average age.
Okay.
Yeah, 16. So it's
Okay,
kind of an
so, okay.
average. Yeah.
Because I do get concerned, obviously, of generations now, where I believe the average Catalan youth sees their first pornography pop up by 8.
Well, I've always been quite anti-porn. Don't quite understand it. My viewing history is pretty clean, to be honest.
Exactly.
But I remember actually once I was staying at a friend's house when I was about 11 or something. No, actually, maybe 13. And my friend said, "Oh, let me show you my dad's video, the VHS." And she put it in, and I just remember seeing the scene of this woman with this 80s perm, like a close-up of oral sex, and I was like, I am never doing that. That's disgusting. Fast forward a couple of decades, then I'm giving workshops on fellatio.
Wow.
Yeah, not with live, just theory.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. But what an impact that makes too at
It was
13.
like, oh my God. Yeah, I was like, this is disgusting.
It was a female friend.
Yeah.
Oh God, how embarrassing.
Yeah.
I wonder if the father knows that.
It's one of the unspoken things, I think. But also those times when it's a VHS, it's like something you'd watch over and over. It's not like now where people are seeing different things all the time on the mobile, and it gets more and more extreme, which I can't even imagine what that must be like. Yeah.
Because now, not that we have like hikikomori like in Japan where they never leave their room and it's all just videos and anime and porn, but we certainly have the Coca-Cola Light version of that, of these boys that create incel type mentalities that do not necessarily even know how to speak to women or men, whatever you like, or understanding the beauty of the of intimacy, of sexuality, of spirituality. It just doesn't even fathom them.
Yeah, that's super sad. Yeah, that's for my work.
It freaks me out.
Yeah, I think there's different trends now. A lot of the younger people are not having their first sexual experiences within a relationship. I don't know the stats exactly, but that's kind of what's happening now. And the younger generation is like the least sexually active generation as well. So I think social media has a lot to do with it, and also just the way we use or the way we consume content. It's very easy to go down rabbit holes,
Very
So
much so.
yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 on the clock, kids. We've got so much more to talk about with the goddess, Venus O'Hara, who is here right in RCE 106.9 studios here on the club with Lucas. This is another beautiful ditty to dance to. It's actually something that was released. We were supposed to be here last weekend, but the finca was closed for the long holiday, celebrating the Jew. As Christians just love the Jews now. But Asha Puthli and Say She She. Now, we have played Say She She before in this, and everything that they do by themselves or with people is spot the hell on. This song is actually called Power because people have the power. But there's also a wonderful house remix. I'm doing a more chill version of it. This is Asha Puthli with Say She She. Power. We'll be right back in 3 minutes, kids.
going to scream.
No, and I would. Actually, let's talk about that. Ashley Puthie and Say She. I love you, Say She. In fact, they were performing here not too long ago. Power. Now, let's get back to something because maybe not talk about what was he going to say. Oh, should we? Could we?
No,
Okay.
That's off the record.
One of the things that we were speaking of before last week was disintegrating from but within Barcelona while you project and transmute and work so much outside of Catalonia and Spain. Let's talk about that because you've been here for a hot minute as well.
Yeah, I've been here for a very long time, and I used to pride myself on, or I still do, of being very integrated. Mm-hmm. So I speak Catalan, I speak Spanish, I've written books in Spanish. I used to be very well known in Spanish media. But then in 2014, some of my clients asked me to start making videos on YouTube in English, and that opened me up to the world. So now I have a global audience, mostly US based, and I work with Asia, with rest of Europe and US. So I'm kind of like a 24-hour operation, getting emails all over any time basically. And yeah, so now I'm not doing anything in Spain. And it's interesting because before I was a content creator, which it's been since 2009, I used to work in luxury real estate. And at the worst time, 2007 to 2009. And I remember meeting lots of relocation agents and stuff who had clients who were looking for property. And I remember just feeling a lot of envy towards those people. I love that in Spanish there's an expression, envidia sana. So it's like, I envy you, but I don't resent you. And so a lot of people had this life where they were living in Barcelona, but with let's say a foreign pay packet or something like that. And it was like they were living the best of both worlds. They didn't really get preoccupied with local limitations. They were just seeing Barcelona for the best side of what it has, and obviously living a much higher standard of living than locals. More higher salary, etc. And I just thought that's the best way to live in Barcelona. So now I've created that for myself. So I don't do anything locally. I'm thinking bigger and just really, just enjoying this global world. And I think I had a pandemic life before the pandemic. So I was, working from home, working remotely for a long time, even before the pandemic, which was a great skill to have at that time. So now my satisfaction of Barcelona, and also I speak a lot less Spanish now, a lot less Catalan. I'm just speaking English all the time. I go to a private members club called The Cover, which has been amazing because a lot of people there are self-made, entrepreneurial. So I kind of get that bigger thinking energy, not just imposible, complicado, which I do find the local mindset to be a little bit limited in that sense. And I say
historical, and it's true.
And I say that with love.
Yeah.
But I do think now there's a lot of tension between expats and locals, and I understand where it's coming from. I think now the global economy, this remote working has kind of transformed.
Certainly with the digital nomad thing.
Exactly. And Airbnb and
Well, the hatred towards tourism.
Yeah.
I think you and I, who have been here for so long, we sometimes can understand that too.
I absolutely understand it. I absolutely understand it. But then this kind of expat go home, tourists go home. I just think these opportunities are available for everyone. So even the locals could make the most of the global economy that we are in now.
And frankly, they do, because nearly 45% of the economy comes from them in the city.
Wow.
Okay. So go on, kid. Just spend lots of money and then leave. But please throw your rubbish in the bins. That's all.
Yeah, and stop peeing in the street.
I was just going to, my sister stole that word from my mouth. So throwing that, disintegrating from that mindset, because it's very important too, because I do believe that when we complain and put that limited mindset, we're blocking the blessings, and then we're not living in that abundant vortex that it's more beneficial just kinetically and spiritually to live in that mindset. And so why do you think, excuse me, oh yeah, that's 45, girl. Why do you think there's that kind of bane of existence of complaining here with our brothers and sisters in Spain and Catalonia, more than maybe the angle we're coming from?
I don't know. I don't know if it's cultural, but it's just my reference.
No, but you're right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, because I've bitched about this I don't want to complain, I'm not, but I have spoken about this for a hot minute. And I tell my students this, my uni kids, don't block your blessings by saying, I can't.
But also, I think it's important to have openness towards local culture, because I think there's an other extreme with the expats. I mean, I know many people, I'm sure you do too, who've been here for a very, very long time and make no effort to learn any languages or to fit in or to meet local people. And I think then they're blaming, they're assuming that everyone else is the foreigner. You know, I think that happens when you travel a lot. Like you just have to think that you're the foreigner. You have to kind of adapt. And I think, to not be able to make just a phone call to the electric company or something like that in the local language, I think that's, you're really missing out on a lot of just practicality, just being independence. How can you just look after yourself? I've had friends over the years where I've had to phone
them with
internet with all this because they can't do it themselves, and in exchange for some lunch or something like that. But imagine if you need a locksmith at 2 a.m. I mean, you don't speak the language, and then you're like, oh, they don't speak English here. I think that's a bit kind of arrogant to come here and think that, and be here for a long time, and then not make an effort. I think you really need to integrate. And I'm really glad I've integrated and I have that understanding. But I remember once I was complaining to a friend about, the freelance life, the ups and downs, the instability, the uncertainty, not certainty beyond logic, because you need certainty beyond logic for a freelancer. And my friend now, who was a very good friend who lived here for many years, who now lives in the States and is just, doing so well, he said to me, Venus, you're not Catalan. You are not Catalan. And I was like, okay, I need to kind of expand the mind.
To not keep it in.
Yeah, and that's a problem, because I feel that
when Catalans do, when our brothers and sisters do it, you learn a whole other person.
But that's why I loved being in New York last year. I just found that.
Tell me about my city.
And I've been there before. I've been there many times before, but it'd been a long time. And now with the global world we're in, thanks to LinkedIn and other things, I had like 3 meetings a day with people that I'm connected to through work, through social media, and just the this journey of, let's say, idea to reality. I'm fascinated by that. And no one holding you back. Oh, impossible, complicado.
We do it. We're the only ones who do that.
But we are a product of our environment, so we have to kind of like really start thinking bigger. So
reframe that as well. That stinking thinking, that thought stopping. I told this to some business sessions the other day, that the minute don't tell me no. In my country, New York City is my country, like Catalonia. But if you say no, you can get fired for telling your jefa no. Make it happen is the thing. You don't tell me no, baby. You make that happen, and that is a big thing that I'm trying to impart into not just the business consulting people, but the uni kids. It's is lo que hay, and I really believe this. I don't know if I'd ever heard that expression so much. Well, that's all we can do. That's all there is. No, that never was even a part and parcel of my mentality, and I find it more from our gentlemen. But before we jump into the next song and start wrapping up, I'm curious of how you see on a, very visceral but also kinetic and spiritual level, men at the moment right now. How are you doing?
Where are they?
Besides beautiful ones like myself here. But.
Well, it's interesting because I did watch the Manosphere documentary. It's very interesting.
Luis Theroux, I love you, man.
I think it's super interesting I'm interested in gender in general at the moment. And I love men, and I think... it's very complicated. But what I think when you were just talking just then, what I think one of the problems is, especially locally, especially with students, is that they are living at home until they're like 30. Whereas in the UK, maybe less so now because it's cost of living has increased quite a lot, and so is the way people study, etc. But we left home at 18. We're going to live in a different city. Independent, you're trying to manage, cooking with cooking. You're managing like your money, things like that. These are these huge life lessons, which are very humbling, and they make you very resourceful as well. And I remember when I came to Spain, I was 22, and I'd lived in Paris and Madrid and Birmingham, and then I kind of
meet. And you're only 22.
Yeah, and then I meet these guys, and they're like at 30, they can't even use the washing machine. So there is that kind of like the lack of curiosity for independence. I don't understand. I don't understand.
There's a statistic that came out after 2024 that I've really thrown at my uni kids because I love people, but I really love people that are trying to connect to a higher frame of mindset. And over 60, nearly 65% of 31 and 32-year-olds still live at home or are just leaving home in Spain. It's worse in Italy and Greece. But 80%, 4 out of 5 of them are male. Only 1 out of the 5 are female. And sociologically, I had several people ask me, well, how do you explain that? Why is it that 80% of all those people staying home till 32 or Jesus' age, 33, are boys and not girls?
In my experience, I can't speak for all those people, but
Yes, ma'am.
in my experience, I think I was just more curious about making my own food and being independent in general. And also I think maybe parents towards women just like don't feed them as much. You know, I never had like mothering until I was old. It was very much there's different attitudes, I think, and maybe that's part of it. Oh, well, I'm going to iron his shirt for him. He can't do it. Maybe I don't know, that could be part of it. I don't know.
It's algo Latin,
Yeah.
maybe.
But also, I do think in my experience in Spain as well, there's a big difference between the city people and the people in the pueblos. The pueblos, they have to
Very true.
they have to espabilar a lot more in a younger age for sure.
I did
Yeah.
an article years ago for Metropolitan Magazine, and I'd interviewed mostly city women, but then I wanted to interview this woman who runs this big resort in the mountains. And she told me something I'll never forget. She said, we in the country have to be resourceful. And she said, but especially women. And I said, well, why do you say that? And she said, because I'm going to tell you why. She said, because if you are in the rural parts, especially if you're dealing with people in certain businesses and agriculture, the men are drunk off their asses by 12
Wow.
or 2. And I said, what do you mean? She said, the esmorzars de pajés, even now in 2026, you start your morning between 4 and 5 in the morning with brandy and carajillos de Baileys and
Wow.
carajillos de algo, plus your meat and morci and stuff. And then you break at 10 or 11 for breakfast, and then you
Almuerzo.
break for
Yeah.
lunch, and then by lunchtime the death. So she said, so the women had to go finish everything.
Oh, wow.
So this has been the mentality for decades that people don't really talk about, but women always had to be also the other side of the farm. And they had to pick up the kids and continue the house.
Yeah.
So she said, so we became the most resourceful, which is why I feel that Catalan women, she said, are just more ready to do it than other, because we've always had to, because it was just their job, their post, their...
Yeah.
And she said, we also like to party more because we don't have the cinema and the theater and the arcade and the, those games,
Oh, okay.
escape rooms. We have drinking, smoking pot, and chuki chuki.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
You're right. The life of rural versus urban is very different. Do you like rural life?
I think for me, I've never learned to drive.
Wow,
So
I didn't know that.
that would limit, but I do crave nature. And I think sometimes when I go to rural places, I've visited a few places in my life that have the best of both worlds in the sense that they have expat communities, that variety of people, but also close to nature. So I've been to a few places like that I really do love. So I'd like to, what I'd love to do is actually to spend my time between Barcelona and other places.
Yes.
Obviously being more here most, but I think I love flying into Barcelona. I don't want it to seem like I'm complaining about Barcelona. I love Barcelona.
We're so
but
blessed to be here.
but I think I would like to spend maybe a bit of time in your city, in New York, or and maybe something rural, and just be more in location independent, because I have that lifestyle. I don't think I'm making the most of it. So I think coming into Barcelona, flying into Barcelona is something I really love. I love seeing that big antenna thing next to Tibidabo beating like a heart, welcoming me back. So that's something I would like. So but to be in the country all the time, I think what's limiting about that is that I think people are into gossip a lot more.
Oh,
So when-
definitely.
when-
That's
so
another
I'm-
thing she joked about.
Yeah,
that lady.
and I just hate gossip. I just found
Even celebrity gossip?
that could be a little bit juicy, but I look for the message about it, because just recently for my podcast, The Orgasmic Lifestyle,
Yes,
I
shout it out.
reviewed this series now, which is really trashy. It's called Age of Attraction, but I wasn't talking about the participants. It's about age gap relationships. I was talking about the concept of age gap relationships. So I use those types of things as springboards for another conversation. But gossip, not too much. I'm just interested in hypocrisy and just how people perceive relationships, or just because there are wider conversations to be had when you look at
Yes,
anything.
there are.
Yeah.
For real. Well, okay. Apart from the book and the manifestation with orgasmic manifestations, but apart from the orgasmic podcast lifestyle, apart from being the goddess of sexual wellness and vegan health lifestyles, and Oh God, I meant to ask you earlier for a delicious, quick vegan recipe. Shit.
Oh wow, I just
Sorry.
made one. I just had the orgasmic breakfast, which I have every
Okay,
day.
okay, yeah, throw it out. I meant to ask that 30 minutes ago.
Well, you already had one at my house a few years ago, and you're like, "Oh my god, it's so
I
amazing!"
need another one, little darling.
Yeah.
Scheiße.
So I think holistic self love, eating well is really important, and eating the best foods and local, organic, orgasmic, and yeah, I mean I do like to support local restaurants. I'm the leader of the Barcelona vegan community, but I think eating at home, eating for yourself, making your own food is a thing,
It's
part
also
of self love.
very zen.
Yeah.
There's zen in it as
Yeah.
well. In
It's-
fact, can you please also shout out, excuse me, my body's eating itself now. I'm talking about food. Can you shout out about the vegan community with the restaurants and stuff that you sometimes do? What is that called?
Well, on Meetup, the Barcelona vegan community,
There
I
it
am
is.
the organizer of it. And I've been making events. I've just become a super organizer. I've been making events since 2017, so it's about time I get that recognition, I think.
Hells to the yeah.
So I did it to solve my own problem of loneliness, because I've always felt like a misfit most of my life, and I haven't eaten meat for 30 years today, this year.
No, give it to me,
Yay!
girl.
Been vegan for 8 years, but I was vegetarian for most of my life, and I always fantasized about having a dining group or some kind of events that I could host. I was a bit shy, so I wasn't really kind of. But now it kind of landed in my lap, this group, and now I create events. I host events in vegan restaurants. I like to support vegan restaurants because it takes a lot of dedication to actually, but also ethics. It's like you're following an ethical journey. So I like to support those restaurants and eat amazing food. And also to meet other people who are vegan or plant-based or vegetarian or open to that type
And just
of...
live in that energy too. Because
Yeah.
There's something more wholesome. Like you said, it's holistic life. And
Yeah.
that is the beauty of Lady Venus O'Hara. And the fact that we've been friends now for over 7.5 years. A godly age is bloody awesome. So thank you for being here. And we have to do this date next week, please.
Oh,
my
yeah.
God. We had a beautiful thing planned, and Lucas has to go teach the university children. Listen, folks, you can find Venus O'Hara on all the social platforms. You can also find her at her website as well as venusohara.com. Right?
Yeah.
This is .com. You can also pick up the good book where all good books are sold. You can find her with the meetups as well for the BCN vegan community.
Yep.
And Jesus, the Orgasmic Podcast
Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast,
as well. So all of this, and in fact, of course, we're going to be throwing this stuff out over the next week or so with Lady V, and we're also you're going to see a picture of us under a very special name as well. All right, folks. Lady Venus, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Dynamite. Okay. You know what? We've been speaking so much, I even jumped a couple of songs, so ni modo, que. We're going to play one more. Jefe, si podemos tocar All My Dreams, por favor, because we have so many of them. Manifest them, folks. Make this shit happen, and we'll see you on the flip side, same bad time and channel next week at RC 106.9 here on the Club with Lucas. We love you.
Bye.
Yay.